Do you know that almost 30% of adults struggle with falling asleep or staying asleep? That's a huge amount of people. Why is sleep so important? Well, it helps us maintain not only our brain health and our heart health, but also helps us to prevent chronic health conditions later on in life. Sleep not only helps us to reduce stress and anxiety, but also improves our mood, helps us to retain information long term, and helps us learn better by creating new pathways in the brain, and we can receive and retain more information that way. Sleep also helps us to be a lot more creative. If you've ever struggled with sleep, then I'm sure that you're familiar with the term insomnia. Insomnia is a sleeping disorder that a lot of people struggle with. It's very, very common, and it makes it really difficult to fall asleep, stay asleep, or have good quality sleep, which can lead to being tired or sleepy throughout the day, and being cranky, and not being able to have a good attention span or be able to retain information that we receive throughout our day. Now, while lots of things can cause insomnia or lack of good sleep, such as stress, lifestyle, medications, traveling, or even your work schedule, I want to focus on talking about lifestyle because that's something that we can have a direct effect on ourselves. So I want to tell you about some ways that you can help yourself try and get some better sleep at night. I myself used to really struggle with getting good quality sleep. I never got enough sleep. I would wake up constantly throughout the night, and I never felt like I was rested, actually well rested. But I have implemented new sleep hygiene habits, and I have found much relief. I will put a little clip up here in the video as evidence that I have in fact been sleeping very well. And I'm sharing this not to brag, but to evidence that these tips that I'm about to give you are actually worthwhile. They really did help me. I have found myself sleeping longer and better quality. I don't wake up through the night, and if I do, it's very easy for me to fall right back to sleep. Not only that, but usually I can fall asleep to start with in about 20 or 30 minutes, and sometimes even less. Okay, let's first talk about an irregular sleep schedule. So if you're somebody that goes to bed at all hours of the night, it's completely inconsistent, there's no regularity to it, some nights you're in bed at 10, other nights you're not asleep until 2 o'clock in the morning, that is really harming your sleep cycle. It is very, very vital that you try at least to go to bed or wind down for the night at around the same time every night, and that's going to trigger your body's natural ability to make you sleepy at a certain time. And the more you do it, the more it helps. So I actually started setting a go to bed timer, right? Almost like an alarm for the morning to wake you up, but this is a go to sleep alarm. And my go to sleep alarm goes off at 8:45 every single night. I know that sounds incredibly early, and you know, that probably makes me look lame or whatever, but I'm okay with that. I sleep really good. If you set a timer, and that timer is going off, in my case, at 8:45 every single night, that means that I am getting up, brushing my teeth, getting my pajamas on, turning all the lights off, getting in bed by about 9 o'clock every single night. And usually I'm able to fall asleep pretty quick, but it's because I've been doing this for weeks, months, and so my body knows that once that alarm goes off, it's time to start winding down, it's time to start getting ready for bed. And it's like a habit that you build up, not only externally, but in your mind as well, that kind of tells your brain, okay, this means that it's time to go to sleep. I'm not much of a caffeine drinker, but I do like to have tea. I have tea probably 2 or 3 times a day. I really like tea, especially green tea, but I do not drink tea about 6 hours before I go to bed. I will not drink tea in the evenings or even the late afternoons. Caffeine, if you're a coffee drinker or an energy drinks drinker, caffeine before bed is killing your ability to sleep well. I promise. You are not able, what was it? Caffeine has like a half-life of about 6 to 8 hours. So that means if you're drinking caffeine later in the day after afternoon, or hopefully not in the evenings before bed, your body is not able to process all that caffeine that quickly, and it's still pumping through your system, keeping you wired, keeping you awake, and you're not able to get to sleep or have good quality sleep because of the caffeine you're ingesting later in the day. So if you're a caffeine drinker, don't drink caffeine about 6 hours before you go to bed. So if you're aiming to go to bed at 9 o'clock, do the math. Don't drink caffeine about 6 hours before you go to bed, and I can almost guarantee that that's going to help at least a little bit. The same exact rule applies with exercise. Regular exercise actually helps you sleep better. It's going to help improve your quality of sleep, and I would recommend getting regular exercise 3 to 5 times a week, right? But not about 2 hours before you go to bed. If you're gonna exercise after you get off work, try to do it pretty close to when you get off work, unless you get off work crazy late, in which case I'm very sorry. But most people, if you get off work at like 5 or 6, try to get your exercise in as close to then as you can, because you don't want to be working out an hour or two before you go to bed, because all of that adrenaline and endorphins are going to be pumping through your system still from your exercise, and you're not going to be able to relax as well. Your body's not going to be able to calm down as well prior to going to bed. So if you're exercising right before you go to bed or within an hour or two before you go to bed, I would try to do it a little bit earlier in the day, and it's probably going to help you wind down a little bit more so you can get to sleep a little easier. That same hour or two rule before bedtime also applies to eating dinner or whatever large meal you're eating at the end of the day. If you eat a very large meal right before you go to bed, it's going to be much more difficult for you to get quality sleep, because your body is having to warm up and digest and burn calories to digest that food from the meal you just ate. You're going to feel full and lethargic, and it's much more difficult for you to wind down and calm down and go to sleep, versus if you were to eat an hour or two before you go to bed, give your body a little bit of time to digest that food. It's going to be much easier to physiologically calm down and wind down before going to bed. So you're not going to have that feeling of being amped up and awake, or even just like, not wanting to lay down quite yet, fighting your sleep type stuff. That's one of the reasons that happens. So if you're eating really close to bedtime, again, try to do it just a little bit earlier in the day, and you won't feel so restless. Okay, this is one that we're all guilty of, including myself, but I try really hard not to do this, and that is having your technology in bed with you. Sleep experts recommend not to have technology in bed. That bed should be a place for sleep. So if you're somebody who likes to watch TV in bed right before you're going to bed, or play on your phone a whole bunch right before you're trying to go to sleep, or your iPad, or even your Kindle, or whatever, try hard to put the technology away at least 30 minutes before you're going to sleep. So 30 minutes before you want to actually be asleep, turn the TV off, put your phone down, turn the iPad off, put it in a drawer somewhere. Don't engage in technology 30 minutes before you're trying to go to sleep, because it's very stimulating. Your eyeballs are having to focus, your brain is having to focus on the colors and the light and whatever's going on the screen that you're looking at, right? And usually whatever it is that we're watching is meant to be engaging and attention grabbing. That's not what you want when you're trying to fall asleep. You don't want to be giving your attention to something and for things to be stimulating your brain, right? We want the opposite of that. So instead, try to listen to some calming music or journal, do a crossword, read a book, things that are going to calm you down, things that are not going to take a whole bunch of attention. They're not going to be super bright and stimulating and attention grabbing, right? They're going to help you calm down, and it's going to be easier for you to fall asleep whenever you put those things down versus if you have, a 80-inch television screen lighting up your entire room. That is not what we're going for. So try to turn the TV off, try to put your phone down, and maybe crack open a book, or if you're not a reader, maybe write a little bit. Something else that's pretty helpful is to try to avoid taking naps during the day. I know this one is hard because you're already tired, so you just want to fit sleep in wherever you can. But if you're napping during the day, it's going to continue to hurt your sleep cycle at nighttime when you want to be sleeping. So if you're somebody that's already struggling with sleeping and you've been taking naps during the day after work, then try really hard to hold off and maybe just go to bed a little bit earlier rather than napping. In that same vein, if you've been sleeping on the couch, try really hard not to sleep on the couch. When we're struggling with sleep, we want to designate one area that is for sleeping, and we want that place to be our bed, in our bedroom, right? So try not to sleep on the couch, try not to fall asleep in your lounge chair, try not to fall asleep on that nice cushy carpet you have in the living room, whatever it is. Try to go to bed a little bit earlier, go to sleep in your bed. Make sure that you're turning the lights down, that it's dark and quiet. I have a little salt lamp that I keep on my nightstand, and that's kind of my nightlight. But outside of that, try not to have a whole bunch of lights on. Try not to have things happening, super noisy, like I said, the TV on, that kind of thing. If you want to have a little nightlight, I endorse a nightlight. Trust me, I love a nightlight. Keep it a low light, a very dim light, a small light. Otherwise, it's going to be too stimulating and your eyes are automatically going to want to focus on where that light is coming from. If you're still having trouble falling asleep, and you probably will for the first couple of weeks at least, try very, very hard not to check the time every few minutes. Rolling over and checking the time is really going to negatively impact your ability to actually calm down and fall asleep. So instead of rolling over and looking at the clock and thinking, oh, it's 11:30, I'm still awake. Oh, it's 11:45, I'm still awake. Thinking about how tired you're going to be for work tomorrow, or thinking about all of the things that you have to do tomorrow, just try really hard to keep your eyes closed and off the clock and not thinking about what time it is. I know that for me, it was really beneficial to invest in an eye mask. So I bought this one. It was like $3. I bought it at like Walmart or something a few years ago. It was very inexpensive, but it's really beneficial for me because I know there are a lot of times when I'm lying there and I just cannot keep my eyes closed. And with an eye mask, it doesn't matter if my eyes are closed or not. If my eyes pop open, I can't see anything anyway. So it really limits distractions. And I know that if I open my eyes, I won't be able to see anything. So it kind of helps me in a way to not want to look around my room, not want to be distracted, not want to keep thinking about the day, and really helps me just lay there and calm down and look at nothing and think about nothing until I actually can fall asleep. So if you have tried any of these before, please let me know in the comments which ones you've tried before and which ones actually worked for you. I know that for me, all of these things were very beneficial in the long run. They were difficult to implement in the beginning, and changing habits and routines is always going to be difficult to start with, but I can almost guarantee you that if you change or start at least a couple of these things, you're really gonna see the benefits of it in a couple of weeks. So let me know if you try any of these or if you've tried them before and if they actually help. And if you are interested in seeing any of my videos in written form instead of watching them here on YouTube, you can hop over to my website where I do all of these videos in blog format. So if you're more interested in written style content, you can hop over to my blog. All of these topics are going to be in written form over there, and the link is in my bio. So thank you so much, and I really hope that any of this was helpful, and I will see you next time.